I just got back from seeing Terrifier 3 in theaters, and I think it's clearly the best Terrifier yet. I went into this film with very high expectations. I didn't think they had a chance of being Terrifier 2 because I thought with it being on Halloween and the whole vibe of that film, I didn't think they were going to be able to top that with Terrifier 3 and with it being a Christmas film. But man, did they ever. I was a little bit worried about the fact that the film took place during Christmas, but I think the spooky and horror aesthetic and the Christmas aesthetic all fused perfectly in this film. It seemed like each side of this story, with the horror and with the Christmas part, all get to have their own time to shine and all, again, just fuse so perfectly. And this film was absolutely carried by David Howard Thornton and Lauren Lavera giving absolutely incredible performances. One reason why this is probably the best Terrifier movie yet is because this is clearly David Howard Thornton's best performance yet as Art the Clown. His physical comedy was on full display the entire time, and he was just an absolute menace every second he was on screen. And Lauren Lavera gave another incredible performance, just absolutely blowing her performance from the last film out of the water. Just again, every time David was on screen and every time Lauren was on screen, they both were giving incredible performances that just made this film so much better. It wouldn't have been the same if they weren't giving these performances. But now let's kind of dive into what I thought was really good in this film and some things that really just didn't work for me. From here on out is your spoiler warning. From here on out, there will be spoiler talk. Now, one of the biggest things I didn't really like is how they handled Jonathan's death. The fact that they took one of the main characters from Terrifier 2, put him into this film, and then they just kill him off screen, I just really didn't like that. His character definitely deserved something better. He deserved to have some kind of major face-off with Art the Clown once again on screen. Even if he ended up losing, we needed to see it on screen. There is also just a lot of messy lore that they're still trying to set up and still trying to figure out what they're going to do with in this film, in my opinion. Like anytime they talk about anything that's like demonic or Art's lore or the lore of like Vicky or her being possessed, it all was a little bit messy in my opinion. So that was also just not a big strong point. But other than that, man, really like everything else in this movie I thought was very well done. I thought it was awesome. It's definitely one of the top films of the year for me. The film kicks off with an incredible sequence with Art the Clown invading this family's home dressed as Santa. The tension that is built over this like first 5-10 minute sequence in this film is incredible. You really just don't know what's going to happen next. We just really didn't get to see what happened to the little girl at the end. I wish we would have gotten some kind of ending to that little portion of this story. But the opening scene, like Art the Clown comes out swinging right out the gate, literally, and then just doesn't let up the rest of the film. The portion of basically Art's body retrieving his head and breaking Vicky out of that mental institution, absolutely bonkers, absolutely insane, and I loved it. And then they get on the subway and there's someone dressed as Art the Clown, and that is the way that he gets like a brand new clean costume. I thought that was hilarious. And then Art kind of goes into some kind of like hibernation state. They don't like explain that at all, but I just kind of went along with it. And then we pick up with Laura Lavera's character Sienna, just trying to spend a normal holiday with her family. And again, anytime she is on screen, she has an absolute presence to her. She was really the heart and soul of this whole film. And I thought the character of Gabby, Sienna's younger cousin, I thought that was a great addition to the cast. And just this whole film in general is just the perfect sequel, even though this is technically the third, it's a perfect sequel to Terrifier 2, which is another thing that I loved about this because I love Terrifier 2. And then we kind of go back to where Art is, and then there's these guys who work for a demolition company going to check in on this building where Vicky and Art are staying. And I don't think that this whole scene is being talked about enough. The scene with Art and the box cutter and that one guy and just that whole scene, absolutely insane. Everyone's going to talk about the shower scene, which we'll get to in a little bit, but that is definitely probably just barely in second place for like the best kill of the movie. And there is certainly a lot of crazy stuff going on in this film. There's a lot of kills. It's hard to kind of narrow it down, but that one is probably second place for me. It was just insane. And then moving on in the story, I want to talk about the bar scene with the Santa, the bartender, and the Santa's friend, I guess. That whole scene was when David Howard Thorne's performance just absolutely won me over. He's just so incredible with his physical comedy and his physical acting. And he does all of this without needing to speak. It's all just so awesome. And again, it's just building tension because he's acting childlike. He's acting like excited to see Santa. But you know exactly where it's going. Right when I saw that there was Santa and he said, "Oh, you need a real beard to be Santa," I knew that beard was coming off. And that whole thing with the liquid nitrogen, absolutely insane. It's a little, maybe a little homage to Jason X, one of the craziest kills in all of slasher movies. And then another portion of the story I really liked was that we got to see Sienna's really deteriorated mental state. Seeing the vision of her friend who did unfortunately get unalived in the last film, still looking just as gruesome as she did when she was attacked in Terrifier 2. And the scene where she hears the Clown Cafe theme in the mall. Another character I haven't really gotten to talk about yet is the character of Mia. I'm starting to like this character we're seeing in horror movies where it's a podcaster who is looking maybe too close into some certain true crime stuff from this universe. There's a similar character like that in the 2018 Halloween film. And if you remember those characters, you remember what happened to them. And a similar thing happened to Mia here. She unfortunately kind of got what she deserved and frankly what she wanted that entire time. Which also brings me back to a scene just a little bit before the shower scene where Mia is talking to her boyfriend about Art the Clown. And Art the Clown is just outside the door listening. And again, his physical acting in that, his physical comedy is all so perfect as he's replying essentially to what she's saying. Where she's asking, what does he smell like? And he smells himself. And he's like, oh, I'm flattered that you want to meet me and all that. That was all awesome. Another example of David Howard Thornton's perfect performance. And when people were saying the shower scene is basically the bedroom scene or the hacksaw scene of this film, they were not kidding. Art was absolutely relentless with that chainsaw and then celebrated with a snow angel, I guess you can call it that. And there's also something about the look of him in that scene where he has the glasses on and then he takes the glasses off to reveal to Mia that, hey, you got what you wanted. Again, just great moments in this film. And then that kind of takes us to our finale, the incredible final face-off between Vicky, Art, and Sienna. I love that basically anytime Art would walk by Sienna, he would give her a little smack in the head or just something just to show how petty he is and how much he really just is a hater for her. But this is when Laura Lavera just takes it up to 11 and just takes his performance to a whole new level. The final face-off in the scene is incredible, but it does have a very open ending because they're really trying to set up the sequels again. I think I would have liked a little bit more of like a final finale, a final ending for this trilogy. But if it means we're going to get kind of more of an actual trilogy with Sienna's character, I guess I'm not mad about that. But now the question is, how would you rank all the Terrifier movies? We now have 3 of them. You could maybe throw All Hallows Eve in there if you've seen that, but I personally haven't seen it. I think the clear ranking is Terrifier 1 at the bottom. It has some good moments, has some crazy moments, but it's just really not that good. And then honestly, I think I could interchange Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3, but I think I'm going to have to put Terrifier 3 at 1, Terrifier 2 at 2. There is also the added element of seeing Terrifier 3 in theaters. I haven't seen any of the other Terrifier movies in theaters, so this experience was awesome and may be the reason why I put it above Terrifier 2. And now that also begs the question, where does this rank and among the other films of this year so far? For me, right now, I have it at the 10th spot for the year. I've got it above films like Alien Romulus, Hitman, Joker Folie à Deux, and Longlegs. Then I've also got it right below movies like Inside Out 2, Monkey Man, and Civil War. This film is, as advertised, an insane, violent, wild ride. And if you like Terrifier 2, you will like Terrifier 3. I highly recommend seeing it in theaters with a packed crowd of people. Let me know what you guys think about Terrifier 3 in the comments, and where would you rank it among the other films from this year?